Right. Hello, 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 everybody. Um, Welcome. Coffee with Chris. You got your coffee? We got coffee. We got Chris. We got somebody driving by on like a tractor of some sort. Uh, because I'm going live. I feel like that happens all the time. Like anytime I have to do any video work or any live videos, somebody like that's usually when the landscaping people will like come by and they feel like they have to weed whack for a half hour or something. So, uh, welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, if you are watching this over on YouTube, thank you so much. We're excited to have you over here. Just so you know, these are going to be eventually kind of transitioned over to our Facebook group. So you may want to start watching over there in the coming weeks, but we're going to do it this way for a little while just to kind of get some stuff out there across multiple channels, and then but eventually we will be bringing these all into the Facebook group. So let's see. Somebody asked, does it count if I had my coffee hours ago? Early risers, right? Yeah, go for it. This is second cup of coffee time. Then yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and hit this real quick. Hold on. All right. So the idea here is that I just want to do more of these like ask me anything style uh, lives where you guys can just kind of post your questions, and I can come in here and just knock them out real quick for you, and give you somewhere that you can go, some ideas that you can move forward with. So these are obviously not going to be these massive in-depth answers to questions, but at least something that you can get started on, right? So let's go ahead and just dive right in. Oh, by the way, we're in Florida. We're in the Panhandle right now. We're in Panama City Beach. It took me a minute to remember where we were. We're in Panama City Beach. We're going to be here for about a month. Panhandle for about a month, and then we start heading north. But yeah, that's pretty. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's a very pretty view here. Um, all right, excellent. So let's go ahead and get started here with this first one. So the first question we had for this week was, or for today, was, do you recommend having samples to get started in-person sales? So for anybody who's watching who's like, I don't even know what IPS is, so that's in-person sales. Um, and when I talk about in-person sales, I'm really referring to print sales just in general, because in-person sales really can be done truly face-to-face in person now, or can be done virtually, like kind of like what we're doing right now, right? Um, yeah, so just to make sure that that's clear, when I talk in-person sales, I'm talking about either traditional face-to-face in-person sales or virtual sales done over like Zoom or Skype or Skype. Anybody remember Skype? Uh, so um, the question though is, do you recommend having samples? And this is a really interesting one. I think that it's going to be great for you to have some samples. Now, if you're just getting started though, and notice the question asks to get started in-person sales, then I think that no, the answer is that you don't necessarily have to have them. Um, I am a big fan. In fact, if you've listened to anything that we do over here, I like this phrase. I kind of live by this phrase: make it work, then make it better. And what that means is, let's just get something out there, anything out there right now, right? And we can worry about making it better later. So for your first sales meetings, I really don't want to see people going out and buying a bunch of samples. There's a handful of reasons. Number one, haven't sold anything yet. So like, you're going into debt to try to do this. And I don't want to see that happen. Number two is, you're going to buy a bunch of samples and you don't really know if that's what the clients want. So makes it makes more sense to get some sales under your belt first, figure out what clients are really clamoring for, and then buy samples of those. And that's really the approach that I recommend taking, is let your current sales pay for making your next sales even better, right? So let your current sales pay for those samples. Now, what do you do though if you don't have samples? You use mockups. You use images. Pull some images from your lab and say, "This is what this product looks like." Right? Um, Pull some mockups either from Swift galleries or you could go to like Creative Market or ProPhotoMockups.com. You could go to any of those and create these mockups to just show them what these products can look like. And all you need is one person to say okay and to say yes to one of those product mockups before you can afford to buy an actual sample, right? So that's the way that we recommend going is, let's not break the bank trying to switch to in-person sales. I think that that's the wrong way to go about it. I really want to see people letting their first sales pay for all of the stuff that you discover you need along the way. Notice I say discover you need along the way, not stuff that you think you need. It's stuff that surfaces itself so you know you actually need it. All right? All right. Let's take another hit of some coffee before we move on to the next question. Okay, so I'm noticing a color shift from my computer to my iPad or iPhone. Is there a clear way to know what I would be getting if I ordered from a print house or from a print lab, right? So, okay, first and foremost, get a monitor calibration kit, something like a Color Monkey or Spider, any of these monitor calibration kits, and calibrate your monitor. So that is like the first thing that I think that you should do. Um, Piggybacking off of the last answer, though, this is not something that I would worry too much about if you're just going into your first sale. And I'm going to get back to that at the end of my answer to this question, I think. So, monitor calibration kit, calibrate your monitor. Okay. Second, order samples from the lab. Most labs, when you set up an account with them for the first time, are going to give you a certain number of samples. I know that White House Custom Color does this. I believe Pro DPI does this. I'm assuming that just most pro print labs do this at this point. Um, and you want to make sure that you are sending over, so usually they'll do like 5 or 6 different prints, and you want to send over a really wide variety of print types. Okay, so stuff with really deep dark shadow areas, so you can see how those render from this lab. Are their labs images, do they tend to be darker than what you're seeing on your own end, whether it's on your iPad or your laptop screen, right? um, Send over some stuff with really bold and bright colors. How are those colors rendering? Are they similar? Are they, do they have a tint one way or a hue one way or the other, green or magenta or something like that? Send over something with airy highlights. Are you losing any detail in those highlights that you're seeing on your own devices? So that you can kind of account for that. Send over multiple skin tones. So not just white guys, send over a bunch of as wide a variety of skin tone images as you can see, because ultimately as portrait and like wedding photographers, that's what we care about the most, right? Are those skin tones rendering well? So definitely make sure that you're doing that. A lot of labs will have a color profile that you can import to make sure that you're set up for them. That's not going to matter that much if your monitor is not calibrated, but it definitely will help. Um, and then finally, this is my ultimate point. I don't want you to get too hung up on this. Okay, so if it's close enough, let me put it this way: you and I have a much more discerning eye than our clients do. All right. It's our job. Literally, it's our job to have a more discerning eye than our clients have. Right. And we love tech. We love gear. We love pixel peeping. We love all of this. Right. Our clients don't notice this stuff. Right. When we look and we say, oh, it's got a slight magenta shift in the shadows, like the client's like, oh, look at my kid's smile, right? Like that's what they're looking at. Now, obviously, if it's dramatic, I mean, we're talking like if it's if it's, I got this printed at Walmart bad, right? And like everything's green, obviously there's something wrong. You're not going to get that with a pro print lab though. So a lot of the times when we look at this stuff and we see issues, our clients won't see them. So I think my point is, let's not get too hung up on this. Yes, make sure that your prints look good. Make sure that they match the quality that you expect. But if there's a slight magenta shift in the shadows, like, and it took you looking at it for 30, 45 seconds, 60 seconds, client's not going to notice that. They don't care about those things. So let's not get too hung up on it. And I say that with regard to my initial point, which was go get a color calibration thing. So order those samples, right? Order those samples. If they look good enough, right? If they look good enough, then just move on. Let those sales that you get pay for the color calibration kit and all of that. Hopefully this is a recurring theme already. You notice this recurring theme. Don't go out and spend a bunch of money to make this stuff work, guys. Make it work today with what you have. Make it better with the sales that you get. Okay? All right. All right. All right. All right. What's next? What's next? Ooh, a Swift Galleries question. Are there planned updates for Swift Galleries where you can alter what you've added to the wall without having to click a button on the bottom left and navigate menus to make changes? Okay, let's jump over to Swift Galleries to talk about this. Whoa, crazy. All right, so here we are in Swift Galleries. Let me jump into one of the clients I have here. This is just a test account for me. So you'll notice there's not a whole lot going on in here, but all right. So I am opening the designer, close that there, get rid of these up here. There we go. All right, so I'm inside the designer, and the question is, I think, referring to basically right here. I'm like, oh, I want to change this product, right? I want to change this product, and I have to come over here. I got to click on that. And then I have to come over here and I have to click on switch product, stuff like that, right? So, yes, that's probably the most straightforward way of doing it. There are, though, some keyboard shortcuts that you can use. So if you want to add something to the wall, you can hit the A key, and it's going to ask you which type of product you want to add. And you can add one of those right here, right? So there we go. We've added that to the wall. I can just finish that ad. I can also just hit the return key and it will finish that ad. Let me go ahead and just select all of these things and delete them. So I'm just using Command A for select all, and I'm hitting the delete key literally to delete things or not. Oh, I didn't like that. I don't actually know why it didn't like that. That's very strange. That's fun. It's because I'm doing this live is why it didn't work. So let's say I want to just add something to the wall, right? And I'm going to choose a product. Let's go with the, I don't know, something that has a pretty nice size frame on it so I can just see. Yeah, that's a good one. That might have been what we just had. All right, so something like this, right? Other keyboard shortcuts that you have at your disposal to make things a bit faster would be, let's see, resize. So we hit R for resize, and now I can either just drag this, and you can see it changing over in the left-hand panel to show what size I have. If I like clicking instead, I can just come over here and I can click things. Let's go ahead and do this, and I'm going to hit return to commit that change. And now I have this one selected still. So here's another one of our keyboard shortcuts is the D key, and that's going to duplicate. So we can move this over here, and let's go ahead and select all of them. And now I'm going to hit the shift and the up arrow, and that's going to align the top edges. So you'll see these are now aligned. So you know what? Let's make a grid here. So I have both of these selected. I can hit the D key again. Now you'll see it's duplicating both of those. And now I'm just going to go ahead and kind of do this. We know that these are aligned at the top, but let's select these and align them this way. And align them that way. Now we have this, this 4-up grid. Maybe I want 8 instead, though. Let's duplicate these again. And we'll go like this. And I'm going to just align these to the top and these to the top. And now We have this 8-up or this 6-up grid like that. Now, let's say I want to add a photo in here because that's what we're doing, right? Instead of coming down here and having to click on choose photo, I can just double click this. It's going to bring me into the photos here. These are photos from Jessica Valia, by the way. She's a phenomenal photographer in Colorado Springs. So go ahead and choose that photo, and we'll choose our crop. And again, now instead of having to just come down here and always moving around and clicking on things to apply this crop, I can just double click and that will apply the crop. So you'll see it's actually quite quick. If I come in here, I just double click, I choose an image, I get it cropped the way I want it, I double click, and now we're in there, right? Let's see, what else can we do? I can hit the E key to change the product type, right? So that brings me into at least this page of this. So I can, it saves you, I think, 1 or 2 clicks. So I can come over here, click on switch product, and we can change that to something else. That would look terrible. So I'm not going to actually do that. I'm going to undo that change. Oh, I have to apply it first. I'm going to undo that change. And you can see now, and all I did was Command Z to undo. So just like you're used to, right? What else? I can crop again. So I can hit the C key actually, that's going to help me. That's going to allow me to choose a photo. Once I have a photo in there, then I can use the C key to crop, right? So we'll do that. And see, that brings me back into the crop screen once there's a photo in the opening there. Cool. All right. And then we talked about resize. Let's resize one of these so you can see this other one. The O key is your rotate key. Think of it like a circle, going around. So if I hit the O key, it's gonna rotate that, right? So those are the, let's see, A is for add, D for duplicate, O for rotate, R for resize, and E for edit product type. I remember it. It spells adore. Those are the main keyboard shortcuts. And then you have those double click shortcuts that will allow you to work much, much more efficiently inside Swift Galleries. All right. All right. Let's see. Hide that. Hello. Tommy Jordan is here. Hello, sir. Hey, boo. Logan, there is a list of shortcuts somewhere. I have to find it. You know this. Come on. There's one somewhere. I think I don't know. I'll have to find it. I know we have it in the Accelerator member resources page, but I have to look and see where it is for non-Accelerator members. There might actually be a link to it from their dashboard, right? From the Swift Galleries dashboard. Let me look real quick. Let's share that again. Exit. I don't know if you guys noticed, but we moved the exit button. It used to be over here. It was really, really tempting to click, and you'd be in the middle of stuff and you'd exit. So we've now hidden it way over here so you can't accidentally click it. So let me look here. Dashboard. Cool. Their boat leaving. Client. Yeah, you know what? I'll add it here. It really should be right here. So I'll go ahead and add it to this list here. And oh, maybe it's here. Designer help docs. Yeah, right here. Designer tips and shortcuts. So if you're on your dashboard, maybe I'll add a link to it over on the side so it's more clear. But if you're in here in this day-to-day Swift Galleries workflow little lesson thing, then it's down here under design suggested galleries. You have the designer help docs and the designer tips and shortcuts. So that's where you would find those. All right. All right. Let's get out of that. Okay. Any plans on putting a center button so prints are spaced equally? Yeah, this is one that we've wanted to do for a while, and it gets incredibly complex when you have weird layouts, especially asymmetrical layouts. So trying to figure out like do you want it that amount of space from this one or from this one, and like are we expanding it out? So it's something we want to do. We don't have any concrete plans right now to do it, but it is something that is constantly being discussed. One thing I would like to do that maybe would make it easier, that wouldn't be exactly what you're talking about, but at least uh, making it so that we can show you the gap between them, or so you can just set the gap between two different products. So maybe you select two products and you say, okay, this gap needs to be this much. So it may not do it across all of them, because again, when the layouts become really complex, then the math involved there gets really crazy, figuring out which ones do you want separated, and what are we going by? Are we going by the, if it's a frame, are we going by the outside of the frame? If it's not framed, then obviously I think we want to go by the outside of the edge of the photo, stuff like that. So it's a very complex, point is, it's a very complex problem to solve, that we have not found a super clean way of solving quite yet, but it is something that we're constantly talking about. So I hope that's not too much of a cop-out answer, but that's the answer, right? That's the answer. So, all right. Let's see what is next. Or if the prints would snap, so it's easy to place. Yeah, so like snap to a grid. We've talked about that as well. I'll bring it up with Cyrus again and see if that's something that we want to do. I think the last time we talked about snapping to a grid was before this last round of changes, and we've made quite a bit of changes. I don't know if you've noticed, but that we pushed out a handful of months ago, a few months ago, a massive number of changes, and it might be a lot easier to build out that grid thing now, because there was a lot of stuff on the back end as well. The designer was basically rebuilt from the ground up in a new programming language, and I don't know, it's stuff that I don't really understand, but I'll talk to Cyrus about it and see if the grid thing is something we can do. Something I would really like to do is not only give you a grid, but allow you to define the size of that grid. So let's say you wanted a 2-inch gap between all of your products, you can just say, make my grid 2 inches. That way your stuff is snapping to these grid spaces that are, that are that size. So, yeah, so it is something, all of these things are definitely things that are discussed quite often. The grid hasn't been lately, but it is stuff that is it's at least on our radar. Cool. All right. Next question, another in-person sales question. I love these questions. Is it possible to switch to in-person sales without losing a ton of clients? Yes. Okay, moving on. I'm kidding. Let's let's dig into that a little bit. Is it possible to switch without losing a ton of clients? Yes and no. How about displaying? Sorry, we'll get to that in a second. How about displaying file names so it's easier to select photos? Yes, I think the way that we want to do this, because some people have these mile-long file names, and that's why we haven't done it, because like they get crazy. I think what we might do is make it a hover state. So like if you just hover over the image, then it shows the file name, like a tooltip, basically, because it looks really ugly when you have the photographers who use really long detailed file names. It looks terrible. So now the issue with the hover state, though, and the reason we haven't done it yet, is for people on tablets, because there isn't really such thing as a hover state on tablets. So that's why we've been a little bit wishy-washy on actually adding that in. So yeah, so if you're on a tablet, then chime in, because I want to know, like, is that something that you would switch to a laptop or desktop, just to be able to have that, or would it be like, oh, hey, you're hating on all of us tablet people, right? So let me know what you think on that. Okay. Is it possible to switch to IPS without losing a ton of clients? My answer was yes and no, right? Yes, it's absolutely possible. What we see is typically you lose about a third of your clients. Typically, you lose about a third of your clients. Now, I think that there's a bigger question here, and that is, are these the kinds of clients that you need to be working with anyway? So notice I didn't say want. I hate this idea of, like, qualified clients or good clients versus bad clients. They're people. They're probably great people. They're probably fantastic to work with. They probably love them, right? But if they will not get you to where you need to be for you and your business and your family, then they're not the clients that you need to be working with, right? So it's this idea of what got you here won't get you there. You've ever heard this phrase, what got you to where you are won't get you to where you're going and where you want to be, where you need to be, right? Um, and that's the way I look at clients when you're making a switch. Now, there are things that we would highly recommend you do when you make that switch. Things like uh, transitioning the clients that you really love over by like grandfathering them into new prices, into the new process. Um, Especially if you change your prices, basically saying like, hey, you know what? Look, here are our new prices, right? Show them, make them see, make sure they see how much you charge now. And then now that you've anchored that price, right? If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out price anchoring. I'm actually going to be putting together a video on it pretty soon. Right here. Actually, I think it'll be on Instagram. So check out price anchoring. You're anchoring that price. You're showing them, look, this is how much everyone else is paying. Look, these are my prices, but not you, because I love you and I've worked with you for 5 years and I don't want to lose you. So you get to pay last year's prices. But this is the new process, right? So you're kind of making a concession with them. You'll pay same prices that we offered last year, or I'll give you X% off of these prices. But this is the process that we'll do. Now, here's the most important thing that I want to say about this. Your existing clients, if you are a shoot and burn photographer, your existing clients are the ones who feel the reason that you're changing, right? They feel that most acutely. What the heck does that mean, Chris? You're switching to selling printed products because you're tired of your clients not doing anything with their digital files, right? That's typically what we hear is like, I give them digital files and then they just don't do anything with them because life got in the way, right? So those clients are going to be the ones who understand and feel that pain most acutely because they're the ones who have all of those files just sitting around gathering digital dust, right? They're not doing anything with them. So when you say, hey, I'm switching my process, and they say, okay, well, what does that mean? Well, I'm offering printed products now and design consultations, all of this stuff that we talk about in all of the other places, right? When you start telling them that, yeah, their gut reaction might be, oh man, this sounds like it's not really going to be a good fit for me. But what you do is help them. You got to connect the dots for them and be like, hey, you know what? Hold on. Here, let me ask you a question. Here's why I'm doing this. What have you done with the files that I gave you last year? Well, I put some on Facebook. When was the last time you saw those images? About a year ago on Facebook, right? Uh, that that's why I'm doing this, because I realized, and this is my favorite way to do this, is to put all the blame on yourself. Step into that gap. So tell them like, you're kind of making them feel bad for a second. Like, what did you do with the files? Nothing, right? You're making them feel bad, but then you're immediately stepping back and saying, that's not your fault. That's on me, right? So you say, what have you done with the files from the last handful of sessions? Well, nothing, because, I got busy and stuff. And you're like, yeah, hey, I get it. And you know what? You're not alone. Like, that's most of my clients are in that same exact position. And that's not your fault. That's mine. I realized sometime over the last year that I'm not actually doing my job until you have actual photos that you can look at, that you can enjoy. And unless I do that for you, it's not your job. It's mine. It's my job. And that's why I'm doing this now. And in fact, the clients who are going through, who are just like you, they love it. And they understand that, like, yeah, this is going to cost a little bit more, or the process is going to be a little bit more in depth or whatever. But at least they're ending up with something, right? They have something to show for it. for all of that time, and I take care of all of it for you. I'm gonna come and actually, hang this stuff on the wall for you. I'm going to hand deliver this stuff so you don't have to do anything. So now, instead of, when I give you your files, my job is done. No, my job isn't done until that stuff is on your wall, right? Until it's on your wall and you're enjoying it and you don't have to do any of that, right? So that's the way we want to position this when we talk to clients about this, past clients in particular, is go ahead and bring up that pain point of the fact that they haven't done anything. They've spent probably a good amount of money getting those photos taken. They had to wrangle the kids and get them new clothes and get them into the minivan and get to the session and bribe them with candy and all of that stuff to get these great photos, and then they didn't do anything with them. And you can step into that gap and say, you know what, that is not your fault, that's my fault, and here's why I'm doing this, because I realize that it's my job. I realize that my clients, that I'm creating these amazing images for clients, and they still are basically right where they were. They don't have those physical reminders, right, of what this time in their life was like, and that's not okay, because that's what I'm doing. That's what I want to be doing, right? Okay, so rant over. Okay, Tanya, that would help the hover. How about on tablet? If you click on the photo, it could then display the file name. So right now, let me look real quick. Sorry, please to hold. Yeah, yeah. So if you look, we added on the templates, we added a view details button for the templates. We could do something like that on tablet, maybe. I mean, I have to talk to Cyrus about this, but I mean, you can already click the zoom in button, and that shows you the file name. So I guess you could just do that. Continue to do that on tablet. Click on the zoom in button, and that would show you the file name. But yeah, I mean, this is all stuff it's just stuff to figure out. So talk with Cyrus about that. Okay. Tanya also asked my question: what are some non-social media things I can try for marketing to attract high-end clients, especially moms, without feeling like a schmuck? Right? Excellent. So that's a great question. Uh, what are some non-social media things I can try for marketing to attract high-end clients, especially moms, without feeling like a schmuck? I think the very first thing we have to do is define what high-end means, because high-end to you may mean something completely different to me. I may see, $1,000 sale as like super high end, where you don't. That's maybe that's run of the mill for you, and really the $5,000 price point would be high end for you. So first, I think we have to define what does high end mean, right? Now, once we have that definition in hand, then the question is, okay, where is that person hanging out? What are they doing? Uh, you know, uh, it's a lot more than the demographics that you see of like, oh well, she's a mom of three and she's um, used to work in a graphic design agency but left her job to raise the kids, and like all of that's cool and all, but it doesn't really answer questions. So where did I hear this? This was something I got from Ben Hartley recently. So that's a tip right there. Go check out Ben Hartley stuff. That's like his bread and butter is marketing. So I'm really more of the sales guy, but his bread and butter is marketing. But I heard him say something recently that I really loved, and I thought it was super hacky and really cool. Is find those people that you that match your target market, and then look at their tags, their geo tags on Instagram, and it will show you the places that they hang out, and the places that they hang out where they actually like want to document that they were there. So this gives you some of these ideas of like, okay, well, they're in these restaurants, they're at these stores, they're at these locations, right? Anything you can do to get a little bit more of a view into the mind of that ideal client. Now, what other things can you do? You can um, non-social media things. I like how you threw that in there. So I don't know if you are including blogging in to social media, but from a content marketing standpoint, hey buddy, my kid just walked out here. I'm on a call. How you doing, buddy? You going somewhere? Yes. Okay. Good talk. He didn't say anything to me. That's right. So blogging, SEO, I think all of these things are incredibly important. Um, if you are working your SEO, then starting to blog about those places that you discovered that where they're hanging out, things like that. Logan, yeah, Logan's also the person to ask about this. So Logan is our resident social media guru. Um, so except you said not social media, so maybe she's not the perfect person for it. But SEO, blogging, making sure that you're showing up in search terms for those things, especially if you're in like a vacationer market, stuff like that, showing up um, for searches where people are looking for specific beaches that have the high end hotels and Airbnbs and all of that stuff. Um, and then um, partnerships. I think partnerships are huge. Finding other vendors in other areas who are already serving those clients and figuring out how to partner with them. Maybe you're doing a Mother's Day out or a Mother's Night out with with I don't know, the local high end jeweler, and you guys are going to and you partner with like a yeah, maybe you and the local jeweler partner with a massage therapist or a petty mani person, pedicurist, I don't, manicurist, I don't know, whatever, and you do a mother's night out where you pamper these moms. Maybe you even offer some like new profile picture photos, get them all dolled up, you partner with a makeup artist, something like that, get them all dolled up, take some new profile pictures of them, give them to them free, right? Just give me your email address, and I will send you your, and I'll send you your photo, right? So now you're collecting email addresses of your exact target market, right? So stuff like that. These types of partnerships, I think, are phenomenal for getting you in front of the type of client that you want to be in front of. And the thing that I just talked about is even better because now you're getting their actual information and they're giving you a reason to reach out to them. So you can go ahead and reach out to them and follow up with them on, hey, let's go ahead and do a family session for you, right? Loved meeting you. You were so much fun, and here are your new profile pictures. But let's go ahead and do a family session. In fact, I have some mini sessions coming up, or I'm about to start booking for my fall sessions, but I wanted to give you first dibs on some of the openings or something like that, right? These are just excuses to put offers in front of them. So, all right, let's see. Logan says, ooh, I have one. Semi-social but worth it. I've been reaching out to local businesses who serve my ideal client and asking if I can come by to take photos and feature their business on my social media accounts. Yes, this helps me build a relationship with that business who then recommends me to their clients, aka my ideal clients, right? Another thing, and this is something that Logan taught me because I'm old and I'm trying to learn the Instagrams now, is to if you can do reels for those, then you can collaborate with them in reels and tag them, and it will show up on both of your profiles. So you can create a reel of those photos and maybe even like video snippets or little interviewing things with the owners and stuff like that. And then you can create a reel, collaborate with them on those reels, and it'll show on both of those, which just gets their traffic over to you if they click on it. And they're like, oh, who is this? This is cool. Click on it, and now they're following you on the Instagrams. My kid's right over there. He may come join us. Who knows? Right? Okay. All right. A couple more here, real quick, like. Sure. Okay. Do you have any favorite books or podcasts to listen to for photography or for business? And the answer is heck yeah, I do. Right. All right. So books. I really love this book, Rework. It's by the guy behind Basecamp, whose name I can't think of right now. Jason Fried. Jason Fried. Um, so it's called Rework. It's great because it's little, it's like small sections. Like each page is just a different thought, a different idea. I just really like it. I think it's a really amazing way of looking at work in a completely different way. I really, really love that book. So Rework by Jason Fried. Basically anything by Seth Godin. If you've not read any Seth Godin, then start with Purple Cow. Purple Cow is great. Purple Cow is great. I've been jamming a bunch on some Mike McAllowitz lately. He has some really good is a really good a whole bunch of books of his are really good. But if you've not read any of his stuff, start with Profit First. It's a really, really good book about kind of reimagining the way that you calculate or that you pay yourself in your business. It's a really cool one. I mean, not cool. It's a business book, but it's a good one. Start with Why is kind of like a staple. I think that you just got to read Start with Why. That's by Simon Sinek. Simon Sinek, Start with Why is a very, very good book. Cialdini, what's his first name? I don't know, Doctor something. Cialdini wrote a book called Influence that is really good too. Influence, The Power of Persuasion or something like that. Really, really good book. Let's see, podcasts. Dan Martell, he has a podcast called Stacking Growth, or the Stacking Growth Stacking Show. That's what it is, Growth Stacking Show. Ben Hartley, who I mentioned already, he has a podcast called The Six Figure Photographer, I think is what it's called. I like that one. Obviously our podcast, but I don't listen to that because that would be super arrogant, like even more full of myself than I already am, right? And Photobizx is one from Andrew Hellman. He's a photographer. Hey, buddy. He's a photographer over in there's a plane going over, isn't there, buddy? Yep, I hear it. I'm sure everyone does. Uh, so, hey, buddy, can you say hi? You want to say hi? Yeah, I know it's an airplane. Did you want to say hi? Okay. He doesn't want to say hi to you guys. Are you gonna say hi?
I don't see any.
Yeah, well, they can see you though. You can't see them, but they can see you. He's like, oh, I'm out of here. Stranger danger. So, Photobizx. He's a photographer in Australia, and it's a phenomenal podcast, Photobizx. So check that one out too. Right. And last one here. I'm really nervous to switch to in-person sales because I am terrible at selling anything. Do you think I can still make the switch? No, just give up. I'm kidding. Of course I think you can make the switch. It's literally what we do over here is help photographers who suck at selling. Okay, let's talk about this. This idea that you suck at selling. You are 100% correct. You do. You absolutely suck at selling. I'm not kidding this time. I'm not kidding this time. Right? You suck at selling. But why wouldn't you? Right? Of course you suck at selling. You didn't decide like, hey, I want to have a sell stuff business. You were like, no, I got a camera in my hand and I'm really good with this thing. And I want to take pictures for a living, right? I want to take pictures for a living, not I want to sell stuff for a living. Of course you suck at selling. Like most of you watching this have not had any sort of like formal sales training. So yeah, you suck at selling. Okay, that's fine. That's good because the process that we talk about, hang out, stick around for weeks on end, and watch what we're talking about over here. This is not sales, all right? This is a way to serve your clients better. So that's great. I'm glad you suck at selling because let's not sell, let's serve. And if we do it the right way, then we get to make a heck of a lot more money too. We have happier clients and we make a heck of a lot more money. All right. So, yes, it is absolutely possible to succeed with in-person sales and be a terrible salesperson. Uh, that's me, right? I don't love selling. I don't love selling. I love giving people what what solves their problem. I love solving problems. I love being able to provide stuff for people that makes their life better or easier, or in the case of photographers, more fruitful. You know, you're doing the same exact thing for your photography clients when you switch to a process like in-person sales. So if you think about it this way, when you say things like, I just don't want to be salesy, I just don't want to sell, I can't sell, I suck at selling, I don't like selling, my clients don't want to be sold to, right? And if you dig into the process that we teach, so if you're not in the Facebook group, make sure you join the Facebook group. In fact, Logan, can you drop a link to the main group, and go through that AEDD framework video on there. Go through that. And then tell me by the end of that, in fact, go through that or the refocus. Go through the refocus series first. So there's a photo business refocus series in the group. Go through that. And if by the end of that you still feel like this is sales, then reach out, because I'll convince you that it's wrong. And my point here, though, is if you go through that, you'll see the process we're talking about is serving your clients. Now, if we replace the word serving in those words or in those sentences that we just said, how ridiculous does this sound? I suck at serving. I don't want to serve my clients. My clients don't like to be served, right? It sounds silly. It sounds ridiculous. So that's what we're talking about here. So yes, you can absolutely succeed because we're not talking about selling. You don't need to be a good salesperson. You need to be good about solving people's problems, about helping people get what they want, right? And you'll get paid well for that service. Okay? All right. Let's see what we've got. We got a couple other things here. Partner with local clothing boutiques in your target market. Offer to take photos of kids modeling clothes. Give printed photos and albums of them to display done in your style. I love that, especially if the boutique, their style matches like exactly the kind of stuff that you want to be doing. You can even create seasonal lookbooks for them, which I think are awesome, especially if you sell them to the business. You know, offer to do the photos for free, and then give them the digitals and say, hey, you know what? Do you want to have some lookbooks to just hand out to people? We can create that for you. Offer to create those little magazine things, and they can just have them in there. People can grab them and take them, and you can just sell those to the business, right? Or give them to them. If you just really value that relationship, you can totally do that, right? Okay. Let's see. I am getting text messages from Nate Grahek, which is fun, but they're voice messages. Nate's the guy over at Sticky. In case you're like, I don't care about this. So I should probably check those in a little while. All right, cool. Let's see. I have a hard time envisioning what other businesses my ideal clients use, so I don't necessarily do those things myself. So that's that Instagram hack. Will maybe give you some ideas there. Or, okay, let's be honest. The easiest way to do this is to just ask. When you get that perfect ideal client, when they just happen to stumble across you and you work with them, then ask them. And there is nothing better than flattery. Flattery will get you everywhere, right? Like, hey, I loved working with you. Do you have any clones? Can I clone you? Because like if I could clone you, I would work with you like 100 times a year and I'd be happy, right? No clones. Twins? Need twins? No? All right. How about best friends? Any best friends locally that are like, they have to be just like you though. Like, don't send me that person who's like kind of the black sheep of the group. Like, I need the person who's exactly like you. Do you have any best friends who are exactly like you? Okay, how do I talk to them? Because I would love to do this with them. If they're like you, then I would love to work with them, right? Butter them up. Just ask. Just ask. All right? Okay. If you know of anyone in your target market, like a past client you love, see if they'll chat with you. Hey, look at that. You can ask them about all of this. What I just said. Look at that. Perfect. Logan's got a link to the guides there. That's great. Links to the Facebook group, link to our guides again. All right. Excellent. Well, look at that. We made it about an hour. Pretty good. I'm happy with that. I hope this has been helpful for you guys. I hope you guys have drank more coffee than I have. I'm gonna drink a little bit more. Hey, we have a ton of stuff planned in these coming months for our Instagram in particular, which is why Logan's been teaching me Instagram. So we have a ton of stuff planned. If you are interested in learning more about the stuff that we do, what we do over here, then head over to switch2ips.com, and that'll bring you to a free on-demand webinar. It's a really good one. It kind of goes through the whole process that we teach, our whole philosophy on sales is what we cover in that. So that's switch2ips.com. I will drop that into the comments here. Otherwise, I think that's it. I think that's what I got for you. I hope that this has been helpful, and let's definitely do this again. I don't think we're doing this weekly. I think we're doing this like once a month. I don't know. Logan's making my schedule now because I suck at this. So I'm pretty sure we're doing this monthly. So keep those questions coming, and I would love to answer them for you the next time we do this. All right, everybody, take care, and I will see you next time. Yeah, 4 weeks. There, Logan just told me. We'll see you in 4 weeks. All right, take care.